Hey. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the most wonderful real estate podcast ever. I am so excited that you are with me today. I am so excited. So excited to be back. I'm so glad to be podcasting again. I'm so glad to be out of that crazy train situation that Bill and I mean, we're still in it, but it's not crazy train now. And now it's just recuperating and getting healthy again and getting strong and being able to travel for him and things like that. So I am just so happy that we made it to the other side. I'm so happy we made it to the other side. So I'm Dwan Twyford. I'm America's most sought after real estate investor. I'm so excited that you are here with me today. This is the most wonderful real estate podcast ever. I'm rounding up to 300 episodes, which is pretty exciting. And it has just been a crazy. I tell you, if you go back to the beginning, and I am totally binge worthy. So go back to the beginning and listen all the way through. They were long, then we were drinking, then they were shorter, then I had guests, and I didn't have guests. I've been all over the map. And what I have found is I like doing Tuesdays myself. I like having guests on Thursdays, and I like my business by the books on Sundays. And sometimes we're drinking and sometimes we're not, but we're always at least having water. So with that being said, welcome. I always like to just do a check-in and see how you're doing. So we start off, we have drinks with Dwan. Today, plain old ordinary water. So cheers to you. Grab a drink, take a breath. Stretch out, shake your hair up if you have hair. There you go. Gives you a little burst of energy. So you can have a burst of energy with me because, you know, I'm always bursting out of the seams with energy. I like to start off and read 5-star reviews. And, you know, I didn't do that for a really long time. Well, first, in the very beginning, I didn't have any. And then I didn't know to ask people to leave them. So then I started telling people, like, hey, leave a 5-star review. And now I have thousands of them. So thank you so much for that. I know it takes time. I just worked with somebody a couple weeks ago that sent me an email today, like today before I got on, and said, hey, would you leave me a 5-star review? And I was like, oh, I will be so happy to. So I went on to Google and I went on to Facebook and I left them a review all over the place because I worked with them. And he's a real estate investor and he was amazing, like really amazing. Like really amazing. Like if I didn't know better, I would have thought I trained him myself. He's exactly like I am. So it's really great. Newfound friend, someone exciting and new to work with, and just does things so much like I do. So I'm like, have you ever like bought any of my programs down in the past? But ironically, he does go to my RIA group in Denver. Well, it's not mine anymore. It's my husband and my son. I had to quit working with those boys. But if you watched back a couple years ago, you know exactly why. It's like, I cannot take one more day working with those two men. I love my husband and my son. I love to work with them on speaking, training, deals, but running a RIA with them, no. These are two men that literally, my son is a millennial. Technology has left them behind. I was like, no, I'm not working with you guys. Get with the program. Oh, that's a whole nother story in and of itself, I guess. I tell you, there's just always stories. Everybody's always, you know, the old thing Oprah always says. I don't know who said it first, but I just heard Oprah say it a decade ago. She's like, oh, everybody, you know, everybody's got something. Like that is the truth. Everybody's got something. So anyway, I want to leave a couple, I'm going to read a couple 5-star reviews. This is from Veronica. And it says 5 stars, a great resource for a newbie. I love how exciting you make it sound. Great info, always funny and informative. Thank you. Enjoy listening to the podcast, and it's always great to hear other testimonials about her success. Veronica Laura from the United States. Thank you very much. And this one, is, and I really, I keep saying I need to start reading these. I really do need to read them ahead of time. I don't want y'all to write something, give it a 5-star, and I read it, and then it's like got something nasty in it. And that's not a challenge. Do not do that. No challenges out here. A wealth of knowledge. This is a great listen and has been very inspiring for me and my business. Wendy Messias, I'm going to say, from the United States. Actually, I'm going to read one more because then this whole paper's done. 5 stars, phenomenal show. I just found this podcast a few days ago, and it's absolutely great. Dwan is a great leader and a host. The podcast is well placed, and the topics really insightful. Listening to past episodes and digging into these ideas. Thanks. Oh, Denise Cameron from the United States. Thank you, Denise. That was so nice. All right, if you're just finding, all right, let's see. There we go. More reviews. So I have a site that puts them all together and emails them to me so I can print them out and read them to y'all. And so thank you for those. I truly appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. All right, now, why short sales right now? Why short sales right now? Well, you've heard me say this since the beginning of time, that short sales are always a good thing. The last quarter of the year is always a good time to do short sales. If you've struggled with getting your short sales, haven't quite been able to get over the hump on it, it's always the last quarter, October, November, and December. It's the last chance the banks have to clean up their books. It's the last chance they have. And, you got to think back in 2020, there were not very many foreclosures, and there were a lot of people falling behind. And then in 2021, there was, and in 2020, but in 2021, there was basically the moratorium on you couldn't evict people, you couldn't foreclose on people, you couldn't, all this stuff was happening. So they, excuse me. I'm still in Atlanta. I gotta tell you, I do not know. Not to digress. I digreg. You should follow. If you don't follow Gregisms on TikTok, he is absolutely one of my favorite people. So funny. And he always said, I digreg. I digress. So I'm giving a shout out. Every time I come to, my cousin lives here. So I do come to Atlanta fairly often. And then I speak at this RIA group up here, the Atlanta RIA. I do not know what is in the air every single time I come to Atlanta for my whole entire life since I was a kid. I get all froggy, all clogged up, my eyes all red. I take all kinds of allergy medication. I do not know what it is in Atlanta that grows here. My cousin says it's the dogwood, but there is something that grows here that literally just eats me up every time I come here. My skin's itching. It's like, oh my God, what is happening right now? And I even started on my Zyrtec ahead of time before I got here. I'm doing all these recordings today because by tomorrow I probably won't have a voice. So I don't know what it is, y'all. And I love the South. I love the people from Georgia. So I did not know what it is in Atlanta, but literally. And I know a lot of people are like, you should edit your podcast one. Nobody wants to hear that. You know what? I watch podcasts all the time. I watch them. I like to watch them on YouTube. I like to watch them. And I see even shows that I was a guest on, and people just edit out every little every little sound. And I tell you, I hate watching myself edited to death like that. I almost want to put it in my agreements. Like, if you're going to interview me on your podcast, you can't like edit them so tight like that. I know people are trying to squeeze in the most amount of time they can in their 30 minutes or 20 minutes or 45 minutes or whatever it is. But I watched one just last week, and they edited like every breath I took in between everything. It was so choppy and so weird to look at myself like that. And I was like, I don't like that. So I don't let them edit my podcast. It's got an ending and it's got a beginning. It's got some new music. You'll be noticing my new music in the middle. What do you think about my new music? Do you like it? I do. I'm digging the new music. Everybody loves it. I've gotten a lot of really neat emails and people saying, hey, I like it. I like it. I like it. So it is my new branding with my Smart VA team, smartva.com, with Miss Christy Yoder. I interviewed her earlier in the month and fell in love with her and her team and her concept and what they do. And I have never been happier. So shout out to Glaze. Thank you, girl, for making me sound good. So, we were talking about editing and coughing and hacking and stuff. You know what? I just try to be as real as I can. And I mean, shoot, I've done podcasts where I sneeze, I've had to blow my nose, I've been drinking something and spilled it everywhere. I mean, all kinds of stuff. But you know what? I don't know. I like people that are just real. I just like it when it's real. I don't like stuff so edited. So I know a lot of you do. And if you do like that, I'm definitely not your jam. But if you just like real, down to earth, down home style, the real deal, I'm your jam. All right. So the short sales now. So if you look at the bank's point of view in 2020, excuse me, 2020, the foreclosures by the end of the year, they were putting them on hold. In 2021, I think they lifted that moratorium like December officially or something like that. And now in 2022, the banks are very, very aggressively taking houses. Now you think, well, if they're taking houses so quick, why would they do a short sale? It doesn't make sense. Short sales take time. But actually, they don't. If you are working with a bank and you say, hey, I have a short sale package together for, 123 Elm Street, who do I send this to? Or use the person and you'll find that the short sales will happen quicker than the foreclosure. Because if a homeowner threatens to file bankruptcy, they can buy 2 years in addition to the 2 years that just went by. And every day that more defaulted loans pile up, the more money it costs all the banks. So I've talked to you about this in the past. I just want to kind of give you a little bit of information about short sales from the bank's point of view. So the benefit of a short sale, and the funny thing is, I trademarked short sales. I invented the whole. I helped bring that industry to real estate investing. So I am the actual queen of short sales, and it's trademarked. So with short sales, sometimes people go, "Oh, the market's good, prices are going up. Why would the bank do a short sale? It doesn't make any sense. There's no reason for the banks to do short sales." But the banks do short sales all the time anyway. Even when the prices are going up, banks will still do short sales because the homeowner, all they have to do is just say, hey, just threaten. I'm going to file bankruptcy and live 2 years for free. And as soon as the homeowners do that, or they actually file the bankruptcy, then the bank's like, okay, we'll do a short sale. Because a homeowner, any attorney, just like worth half his weight in salt, like any attorney that knows about bankruptcy could get a homeowner to file Chapter 13, and they really could buy 2 years of living without any mortgage payments. Like I could help a homeowner do that and live 2 years and not pay for anything, because I know that much about bankruptcy. But of course, I would never do that because why? I'm not an attorney. I can't practice law. And who hates it when you teach people how to do bankruptcy? Attorneys. So no hate over here. I'm just saying. So now, when people already haven't made payments for a couple of years, and now they call the bank and say, hey, I think I'm going to file bankruptcy. My attorney said I could live for 2 years for free. If I do that, I'm going to have to make any mortgage payments. The banks are all over trying to get short sales done and get houses in any way possible. They're not postponing the sale dates. If you have a sale date in October, November, December in 2022, the banks are just pushing hard, like hard in the paint, to get those houses to the foreclosure sale. They're not doing extensions like they used to. Like I told you this a couple weeks ago. Still, we've called a few more homeowners since then. I've not gotten one single bank to do an extension. They are just like, no, that's it. So I've had 3 of my homeowners that have actually ended up having to file a Chapter 13 bankruptcy because the bank wouldn't budge on the sale date, and there just wasn't time because they had to be listed. So always have an investor-friendly real estate agent on your team, because sometimes you really do have to list properties. So you can't always wholesale every single thing or keep it for a rental or whatever. Sometimes you got to actually sell them retail, which it's not something I do much of, but at this point, it's like, oh, I just can't let these people go. Like they need me. So if you call the bank up, especially in the last quarter of the year, and especially after the last 2 years, where the banks have the foreclosures just pile every day, and a new one, they just pile up. What happens is, from the bank's point of view, the bank has something called a loan loss reserve. So loan loss reserve, a loan loss reserve. So think about the words. It's a loan, it's a loss, and it's a reserve. So it's a reserve account over here that they have to keep money in against every house that goes into default. So if this house is like in Denver, they have $400,000 houses at best. $400,000 house, and the bank has a loan loss reserve. That means they have $400,000 in an account they can't lend. So they got $400,000 on this house, and they got $400,000 over here. But when their defaults get too high, the loan loss reserve may double. So now they have $800,000 in this account. They can't lend. It's a reserve against this loan in default. So they got $400,000 over here, and they got $800,000 over here. How much is that? That's $1.2 million that the bank can't lend this 800 of it, and they can't collect this because it's in foreclosure. So they got $1.2 million sitting there. They're not getting any payments on. Over here, they're not making any interest. It's just sitting there. So people are always like, oh, when the market's great, banks won't do short sales. Banks always have a loan loss reserve. They always have quarterly reports. They always have year-end reports. They always can't afford it for homeowners who decide to file bankruptcy and live free for the next 2 years. They literally can't do it. So I always, we never have a time when we're not doing short sales. Like never. Never do we have a time when we're not doing short sales. No matter what the market's doing, we're always still doing them because the back end, the bank's point of view, it doesn't change. The bank still has loan loss reserve. They still have quarterly reports. They still have money they can't lend. It's the same for the banks, no matter what's happening in the market. And now the interest rates are higher. So the banks are really motivated to want to lend that money out because it's just sitting over here and they can't do anything with it because it's a reserve against this house over here. So short sales are always good, but I'm telling you what, short sales are the wave. The short sale wave is literally upon us. So if you haven't been doing them yet, you're still thinking about it, you're still trying to learn, you're still trying to figure it out, you've got to listen to one of my webinars. You've got to get my short sale program. You've got to get going into short sales. Like you have got to get going into short sales because when the first of the year rolls around and all these properties from 2022 roll over into 2023, it's going to be a debacle. I'm just saying, it's really going to be a debacle because now these properties are on a new calendar. I'm curious what January is really going to look like. I'm kind of excited to see what January is going to look like. It's going to be a new calendar. It's going to be higher reserves. The interest rates are higher. So the banks are just losing money, like literally hand over fist right now because of the people that aren't making their mortgage payments. So the nice thing about that being the end quarter is that banks have a chance to get rid of as many houses as possible in the last quarter of every year, calendar year, to clean the books up a little bit. So if they've had, I don't know, 10 million defaulted loans in America, and now that number is 15 million, that affects the entire banking industry worldwide. So our money affects everybody. So when the banks can get rid of as many houses as humanly possible, it always helps the banking overall. Because, when America crashes, like everybody crashes. So any of the major countries, if they have a big crash, a big stock market or something, we do too. And the same for us. So they think everything is still run through the dollar worldwide. So people that are like, well, I just know people didn't make mortgage payments. It seems like it's a good time to get involved. I don't know. But I'm telling you, as a real estate investor, if you have still even just thinking, you've got to get involved with real estate investing, like right this very minute. So you're going to call the loss mitigation department. Now, the average loss mitigator back decades ago would only have, 100, 200 files, 50 files. I mean, nothing big. I told you a couple weekends ago, I spent some time with some people in loss mitigation for various banks, a husband and wife team. And she said, oh my gosh, she goes, we have at least 750 to 1,000 files on any given day. And she says, and the thing is, we have to touch every file. Every file has to go to foreclosure, it has to go to bankruptcy, it has to go to short sale, it gets paid off somehow, and then every single solitary file, and should they pile up faster than we can get rid of them. That's why it's so important to have your scripts down when you're doing short sales or working with the banks, because they don't have time to train you. So when you're like, do you guys do short sales? They're like, no. And they just, no, we don't do them. You call them back, Dwan, I called this bank. They said they don't do them. Like, yeah, they definitely do them. It's you. Just so y'all know, we're always our own common denominator. So I'm not saying that just because it's for me or for you. But whenever you can't figure out something, or you can't stay on your diet, or you can't stay up with exercising, or you can't stay up with your investing, or you keep losing all your deals, we are always the common denominator. So you're your own common denominator. The whole reason none of that stuff works, it's always because of you. So stop doing that. Stop being the common denominator and change things. Be the one in your family that changes things. Be the one that makes generational wealth. You be the change. You be the change you want to see in others. Is that from a movie? It's a saying people say. I don't know, but you be the change. Stop relying on everybody else. You be the change. So this quarter that we're in right now, honestly, in my whole 30 years of investing, I don't think I've ever seen a quarter quite like this. Because even in the last crash, like 7, 8, 9, 10, like that kind of lasted a couple of years. Even during that, people had interest-only loans. Then their payment went up to the regular payment with principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. And people couldn't afford the payment, so they put a bunch of houses on the market, too many houses on the market at the same time, boom, crash. This time, it's people who haven't made mortgage payments because of a pandemic. So this is like something that's never happened in our country before, or worldwide for that matter. So people haven't made mortgage payments because the government gave them a break, but people went out and got themselves into more debt. People got credit cards, people got TVs, people got gaming systems, people got new furniture, people got new trucks. I know people that bought boats and campers. I know some people that bought a camper. It's like, you're going to be living in that camper in your sister's driveway if you don't do something. And everyone kept giving them money. And it's like, how is that possible? So here's how it works on the credit side of it. If you don't make all your mortgage payments, but you never miss a car payment and you want to go buy a new car, the car place looks at your car payment. They go, oh, she never misses a car payment. Her car is important to her. They'll lend you money even if you've had some struggles with your mortgage payment. If you never miss a credit card payment and you want more credit, they'll give you more credit because they look at your credit history and go, she's missed a few truck payments. He missed a few mortgage payments, but they never miss a credit card payment. So they'll give you credit. If you're going to go buy a house and they go, well, they missed a truck here, they missed this here, but they've never, ever missed a mortgage payment ever. They know that that's important to you. They'll give you money. So many people bought trucks and cars and appliances and furniture and TVs and gaming and so much stuff, additions on their house. I know people in Florida that put in pools instead of making their mortgage payments, and they're using all that government money. But then that money goes away and the reality of life comes back and it's like, bam, smacked in the face. And so we've never had a time where this many people just didn't make payments. The times in the past has always been because of the stock market or the interest rates or the interest-only loans. But this is one of the first times that I'm aware. Now, I've never researched this going back to the beginning of the country, so I don't know. But from what I know, this is the first time that we've ever had like a looming crash just because people didn't make mortgage payments because the government said it was okay. So yeah, they always say like what does Ronald Reagan say? Like the 9 scariest words in the English language is, let's see, I don't know if it's 9. I'm from the government and I'm here to help. That's right. So there's all kinds of videos of Ronald Reagan saying the 9 scariest words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. So that's what's been happening. And y'all took that help. And that's okay. But now the reality is it's time for investors to really rise up and step up and really help people, because the country is a mess right this second. Financially, we're a hot mess. We have like trillions of debt. It's just really shocking to me how bad everything is. But when I hear that, I'm like, okay, well, as real estate investors, that go to bad for me. And I know it's good for us. I mean, homeowners will just give you their house. If you can make up the back payments, they'll just, here you go, take it for free. I don't even want any money. Just take my house. They'll just give it to you. My son's doing a high equity deal right now with a homeowner that had like $300,000 worth of equity. And they're like, well, we don't want to just give it away for $5,000. And he's like, well, what if we split it? And I'm like, sure. So the homeowners moved out. He rehabbed it, Will and Tyler rehabbed it. It's on the market. It's only been on the market for a day or two. They'll probably get an offer this week. And they put it on the market. And when it's all done, he will make about 120 and the homeowners will make about 60. So there's $200,000 equity in this deal, in addition to the back payments and all the stuff like that. So there are people sitting on tons of equity. Just all kinds of crazy things are going on right now. The high equity deals, I'm going to spend some time in November talking about these high equity deals because you need to know how to do them. The deal that we just wholesaled where we cleared 36,000, we gave our homeowners $100,000. So they netted after all the expenses $100,000. Two brothers, 50,000 for each of them. Because they're 71, they're 73, and I know that this is like the last big money that they'll ever get. So they netted $100,000, and then we made almost 40. Down 40. The guy that's rehabbing will probably make another 100. So there was a ton of equity. And if I had the time, I probably would have done an equity partner and just like fix it up because it was just a really basic and put it on the market. But I didn't really have the time right now, and I'm still dealing with Bill. I can't be around all that construction and bringing that back into the apartment. And so we're like, hey, we'll just wholesale. I'll just make like a, a cool 36,000, and that'd be a great deal. And that's what happened. So banks are literally begging us to get deals and houses off of their books. If you haven't done that yet, I'm telling you, I'm challenging you to step up. So our life equity this week is going to be mental. It's going to be mental. So mental will be something that's good for your mind, that just like quiets your soul for a minute. And this is what I'm going to challenge you to do. I'm going to challenge you to sit quietly for 15 minutes. And I don't mean like on your phone, TikToking, or sitting there like, okay, well, I need to do this and this and this. And not even to meditate, because even meditating takes a lot of energy. I'm going to challenge you just to take 15 minutes a day, whether you sit on the back porch or lay on your bed or just sit in your car in the parking lot, just to put your head back for like 15 minutes and just clear your mind. It is really amazing what just a very few minutes of quiet time can do for you, for your overall health and for your overall mindset. And I know, especially after being with my husband so locked down together, he is the noisiest person. Like even before we moved into this, where we're at now at home, I'm always like, shut up all the noise at night. Like he'll listen to the music full blast and fall asleep like that. And it's not like that all night. And I was like, I can't sleep with all that. It's like, I can't sleep with all this noise and all this ruckus. So I make him put a sleep timer on and listen to preaching, and that's how we fall asleep. Well, now down here, especially with everything that's happening and as much caretaking as I have to do, I'm like, lights are out at 10 o'clock, period. So the first couple of nights, he's laying in bed. I can see his feet shaking and his hands, and he's bouncing around like the poor thing. Next thing you know, he's got his tablet, he's got his headsets in, then he's got his music, and you can hear the music through the headsets. It's so loud. I'm like, dude, can you honestly not just sit quietly for 15 minutes? And he cannot. He is just off the charts with all of that. So I was kind of hoping with this new stem cell, he would not be quite so OCD or ADHD or whatever initials you want to give it. He's just always like fidget, fidget, fidget. So I redirect him because, redirection is a good thing. That's my cruise music. Sounds like a cruise. I say that all the time, but I can't wait to go on a cruise. Oh my gosh. I don't know when we'll be able to do something like that. So many people. So I don't know. It's probably a while. We're probably a solid year off being able to do something quite like that. But I mean, I tell you what, I can't wait. So I want you just to quiet your mind. I'm really working with Bill on this, and we're doing prayers in the morning and at night. And I make him just lay down, like just go lay on the bed for like 15 minutes and just lay there quietly. So he's like, oh, whatever. And he lays down. But you know what happens? He falls asleep. It's because his body's tired. His mind is tired. And then he wakes up, well, good blue, been sleeping all afternoon. And it's like, dude, you're going through a big thing. But I'm going to make him continue to just take a little rest in the daytime and just relax for a minute because your body needs to relax. Your mind needs to relax. And I'm that person that at night, as soon as I lay down, everything pops in my head of all the great ideas that I've got. So I have to really work on quieting my mind. So that is your challenge this week. I'm going to ask you for the next 7 days to see if you can just sit for 15 and not even meditate, just sit down. Even if you just like sit in a chair and just close your eyes and just relax without trying to think and make a to-do list and stuff like that. I know that is challenging because I've been working on it now for like 10 months and I'm just getting to where I can actually do it without making like a to-do list of stuff. Because I will sit there and I'm like, oh, I've got this idea, I could do this, I need that, da, da, da. And if I lay real quiet in the middle of the day, I just fall asleep. So, and that's okay too. I like my little 20-minute cat naps. People that take cat naps live longer. So if you're not a cat napper, learn how to be one. All right. So thanks for tuning in. I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Go on to Apple or wherever you listen to your podcast and give me a 5-star review and write something nice. And then I will read the reviews. So if you'd like to ever hear your review be read, you have to leave one for me to read and be nice. I like nice, wonderful things that edify me and build me up. And if you laughed, you had a good time, just anything, subscribe, share, let at least 5 other people know about, hey, there's this girl, her name is Dwan. She took Dwan and wonderful, and she made a new word, and she's so awesome. She's Dwanderful. So help, share it, get me out there. I still want to be number 1. So I've got a ways to go to be the number 1 podcast in the business category. So y'all need to be helping me make that happen. So I've been working on it for a couple years now. So let's go. All right. And go to dwanderful.com. Find me on all the social medias. I'm everywhere. And we'll be back next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. And remember, the truth is in the red letter. Okay, everybody. Ciao.